Open a world map. At first glance, nothing seems unusual. Greenland sits right beside North America. It's closer to Canada than it is to Europe. So here's the question. Why does this enormous Arctic island belong to Denmark, a country more than 2,000 miles away? Now here's where the story gets strange. The United States didn't just wonder the same thing. It actually tried to buy Greenland not once, not twice, 3 different times. One American president even authorized an official offer worth $100 million in gold. Another openly proposed buying it in front of the entire world. Both failed, but that raises an even bigger question. What was so valuable about this frozen island that America kept coming back for it for more than 150 years? Because the answer has almost nothing to do with snow and everything to do with global power. Today, Greenland feels incredibly important, but 200 years ago, almost nobody cared about it. More than 80% of the island was buried beneath a massive ice sheet. The climate was brutal. The population was tiny. To most European powers, Greenland looked like a giant frozen wasteland with almost no economic value. But while the rest of the world ignored it, one kingdom quietly planted its flag. Denmark. Long before the United States became an independent nation, Danish, Norwegian missionaries and traders had already established settlements along Greenland's coast. These weren't huge cities. They were isolated communities connected by dangerous Arctic waters. Over time, Denmark strengthened its presence while almost no other major power challenged its claim. Then, in 1814, Denmark and Norway officially separated. Many overseas territories changed hands, but Greenland stayed under Danish control. At the time, it didn't seem like a big deal. In fact, history almost forgot about Greenland completely until one country suddenly looked north and saw something that nobody else had noticed. America wasn't interested in Greenland because of the ice. It wanted something far more valuable, something that could change military strategy, global trade, and eventually the balance of power in the Arctic. And that's where this story takes an unexpected turn. America tried to buy an island. By the late 1800s, the United States had developed a habit. Whenever it saw a piece of land that could strengthen the country, it tried to buy it. First came the Louisiana Purchase, then came Alaska. Both deals transformed the United States forever, so after Alaska, one question quietly appeared inside Washington. If Alaska was worth buying, what about Greenland? That single question would spark a plan almost nobody remembers today, only a few months after purchasing Alaska. Secretary of State William H. Seward turned his attention even farther north. He asked government experts to study Greenland. What they discovered surprised everyone. Greenland wasn't just another frozen island. It sat at one of the most strategic locations on Earth. It could help control shipping routes across the North Atlantic. It held enormous, untapped natural resources, and its location could become priceless in the future, suddenly. Greenland looked far more valuable than anyone had imagined. But there was one problem. Congress wasn't convinced. America had just spent millions buying Alaska. Many politicians believed purchasing another giant block of ice would be nothing more than an expensive mistake. So, the idea quietly disappeared. The first attempt, ended before it had even begun. Most Americans never knew their government had once considered buying Greenland for decades. The idea faded into history. Then, everything changed. The Second World War came to an end. A new conflict was beginning, the Cold War. American military planners made a frightening discovery. If Soviet bombers ever launched a nuclear attack against the United States, the shortest path wouldn't cross the Atlantic Ocean. It would fly directly over the Arctic, and right in the middle of that route was Greenland. Suddenly, this frozen island wasn't just valuable, it had become one of the most important military locations on Earth. Losing Greenland could mean losing precious minutes to detect an incoming attack, and in nuclear warfare, a few minutes can mean the difference between survival and catastrophe. President Harry S. Truman realized the stakes immediately. In 1946, he approved one of the boldest land purchase proposals in American history, behind closed doors. The United States approached Denmark with an extraordinary offer, $100 million, paid entirely in gold, not paper currency, gold. At the time, it was an astonishing amount of money. American officials even discussed exchanging valuable territory to make the proposal even more attractive. Washington wasn't trying to buy snow or ice. It was trying to buy security. It was trying to buy time that could one day save millions of American lives. Denmark had just received an offer that many countries would have found impossible to refuse, a fortune in gold, a powerful military ally, and long-term protection. Yet Denmark still said no. Why would anyone reject an offer like that? Because Denmark understood something America couldn't simply buy. And that decision would completely change America's strategy in the Arctic. America changed the game. Denmark's answer was simple: no. $100 million in gold still wasn't enough. To Denmark, Greenland wasn't just a piece of land, it was part of the Kingdom of Denmark. More importantly, it was home to the Greenlandic people. Some things couldn't be bought. At least, that's what the world believed. But here's the twist almost nobody talks about. America never stopped pursuing Greenland, it simply changed its strategy. If the United States couldn't own the island, maybe it didn't have to. Instead of trying to buy Greenland, Washington focused on something much smarter: access. During the Cold War, Denmark and the United States signed a series of defense agreements. These agreements allowed the American military to establish a permanent presence on Greenland. No transfer of ownership, no political takeover, no billion-dollar purchase. Yet America gained exactly what it needed: a strategic foothold in the Arctic. Sometimes control doesn't come from ownership, it comes from access. And that's exactly what happened. That agreement eventually led to one of the most important military bases on Earth, Pituffik Space Base. For decades, the world knew it as Thule Air Base, located hundreds of miles above the Arctic Circle. This isn't just another military installation, it's America's northernmost military base. Its powerful radar systems continuously scan the Arctic sky. They detect ballistic missiles, track satellites, monitor space activity, and provide some of the earliest warning possible if a nuclear attack is ever launched toward North America. In modern warfare, seconds matter. Minutes save nations. Pituffik gives America those precious minutes, which creates an incredible irony. The United States spent decades trying to buy Greenland. Yet today, it already operates one of its most valuable military installations there. without ever owning the island, without changing a single border. Most people think the story ends there. It doesn't. More than 70 years after Truman's failed offer, an American president shocked the entire world by bringing the idea back to life. In 2019, President Donald Trump publicly suggested that the United States should purchase Greenland. Many people laughed. Some assumed he was joking. He wasn't. The White House argued that Greenland had become increasingly important for America's long-term security, especially as the Arctic was becoming more accessible every year. Denmark responded almost immediately. Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen called the idea absurd. She made Denmark's position crystal clear. Greenland is not for sale. The disagreement quickly turned into an international diplomatic dispute. President Trump even cancelled his planned state visit to Denmark, all because of one question: could America buy Greenland once again? The answer was no, but by now, the question had become much bigger than a real estate deal, because America was no longer the only country paying attention. A new race had already begun, and this time, the entire world wanted a place in the Arctic, the island everyone wants for centuries. Greenland was dismissed as nothing more than a frozen wilderness, an island covered by miles of ice, too cold, too remote, too difficult to matter. But history has a strange way of changing the value of places. Sometimes, the places everyone ignores become the places everyone fights over. And that's exactly what's happening today. As global temperatures continue to rise, the Arctic is changing faster than almost anywhere else on Earth. Ice that blocked ships for thousands of years is slowly disappearing. For the first time in modern history, new shipping routes are beginning to open across the Arctic Ocean. A journey that once required ships to travel through the Suez Canal or around entire continents could soon become significantly shorter, saving time, saving fuel, and saving billions of dollars. But shipping routes are only part of the story, hidden beneath Greenland's ice. Scientists believe there are enormous reserves of rare earth minerals, oil, natural gas, and other critical resources used in smartphones, electric vehicles, missile systems, wind turbines, and some of the world's most advanced military technology. The island that once looked completely worthless could become one of the most valuable pieces of land on Earth. And that's exactly why every major power is watching Greenland so closely. The United States already maintains a military presence there. Russia continues expanding its operations across the Arctic. China has invested heavily in Arctic research and has openly described itself as a near-Arctic state. Different countries, different strategies, but one shared objective. No one wants to be left behind, because whoever shapes the future of the Arctic could influence the future of global trade, energy, military power, and international politics. Which brings us back to the question we asked at the very beginning. Did America fail to buy Greenland? Technically, yes. Every attempt ended in failure, but if America's real goal was to secure a strategic position in the Arctic, it achieved much of that decades ago. Without changing a single border, without owning the island, sometimes power isn't measured by what you own, it's measured by what you can protect, what you can reach, and how quickly you can respond when the world changes. The next time you look at a world map, don't see Greenland as a giant block of ice. See it as one of the most important pieces on the world's geopolitical chessboard. An island that America tried to buy 3 different times, an island Denmark refused to sell, and an island that may shape the future of the 21st century, because the biggest chapter in Greenland's story hasn't been written yet. If you enjoyed this documentary, the video on your screen reveals another forgotten decision that changed America's future forever. Watch why America bought Alaska, because without Alaska, America might never have wanted Greenland in the first place. I'll see you in the next documentary.